Hello, welcome. For my project, I evaluated the 2021 virtual CDE contest of the Ag Mechanical Systems and Technology, and I compared it to the in-person contest that occurred in 2018 and 2019. Unfortunately, there was not a contest in the year of 2020 due to COVID, so I'm going over the course of those 3 years to evaluate the data. So the contest includes a written exam that covers 5 agricultural technology methods, and then there's also the mechanical areas that include compact equipment, electricity, machinery, and equipment and structure. So we have fabrication of welding, we have plumbing, we have tool ID, we have problem solving, and they do problem solving both individual and as a team. Now, the team members consist of 4 students, and each chapter can only have 1 team. Not all chapters in Colorado participate in. This just shows that, we evaluated I evaluated spring of 2018, 2019, and 2021. The score sheet looked like this year, which was a little different compared to the years prior, just how they thought that it was going to go. But I got this off the CDE website, and so for total possible individual score is out of 300, and total possible team score is out of 1,200. This team rubric kind of shows what was evaluated. There was a communication, work distribution, time management, and time organization. I'm going to kind of go through this quickly so I can get to my discussion. But the chapters that I evaluated were these that are included. There's 33 teams. And so if you look here, these were the 3 years compared to each other. The blue is 2018, the red is 2019, and the green is 2021. The green is a lot smaller because, like I said, it's based out of the score 1,200 as opposed to prior years where it was based out of 5,000. So I'm looking at more of the trends, the up and down, instead of the actual scores themselves. So these graphs are really hard to see, but this is the individual scores for the fabrication, construction, their written exams, and their tool ID. Their 2019 scores, and their 2021 score sheet. So I had a difficult time making a graph because the numbers were all over the place that it was hard to recognize any trends, and I'll kind of get to that in my discussion. Okay, so the 3 teams that did well over the 3 years were Greeley, Lamar, and Plateau Valley. And again, I was just looking at the trends, and all 3 of those had high bar graphs. And then the teams that had the lower scores were Sargent, Flagler, and West Grand. And a couple of things that I think would help the teachers improve their team scores were, if you go on the CDE website, they have the rubrics listed there, and you can see what the students are going to be evaluated on. And I think those stronger teams recognize that and use that in their first upcoming years, and then saw that they did well and just kind of worked on their weaknesses. They also did really well because they worked well and could communicate what they have produced and some of the problems that they solved. So when those judges were evaluating them, they could see that they worked well together, that they communicated well, and that they used the proper tools and equipment. The teams that struggled to do well, they couldn't really communicate what they did. Some of their parts and pieces weren't exactly put in the right way. That may have worked in everyday life, but if you look at the rubric, it wasn't exactly what the judges were looking for. And just to reference the judges, there were 4 of them, so they took the average score between the 4 to exclude biases. I also noticed that for the fabrication, the 60-10 and 60-11, the individuals that did well there, it seemed that their team scores were higher, so that was a place where they could really strive and do well. In terms of the individuals, There were a few suggestions. I think the virtual contest made it hard for judges to see the parts, the glue, and the tools for the product, and it was hard to give an accurate score. So the individuals that were strong in their written exams and could show their knowledge based on the answers they provided, and the tool labeling portion did well. Sometimes when you get in those Zoom breakout rooms, there can be technological difficulties or a little bit of awkwardness. So the students that still had maintained that confidence and were provided a rubric prior to kind of know what they were looking for seemed to do well. Now that I have given my suggestions for teachers, I also use my project to give feedback for the Team Ag Ed that produced and put on these virtual contests. First of all, I was a part of it, and I thought it was just so awesome that these students were able to get a similar experience. And the content that was provided, I thought was great. On Sunday prior, we packed up all their supplies and gave them to all the chapters in Colorado, so they had their tool ID, they had some of the plumbing parts and things like that, and I think that part of the virtual contest was awesome. There's a couple things I had feedback on. One, when we recorded the videos of the students showing the plumbing tools they had put together, when that file saved, it showed back very blurry, so it was kind of hard to see the names of the contestants and the glue and all the different parts that were exactly put together, so the detail orientation was a little difficult. Another part was the credibility of the contest. For the most part, it was okay to observe if there was cheating or teamwork, but for the parts that were individual, it just seemed, and with their masks on, it was hard to tell if it was more of a team collaboration or not. And then the last thing I would advise was the transition time wasn't accounted for, so the contest ran super late, and I think a way to make those transitions a little easier would be just to have things set up ahead of time and think of different scenarios that could come up instead of reacting. So yeah, that was my whole program. I really enjoyed it, and it was fun watching these virtual CDs be put on. Thank you.